This right here is the KSO Show, your home for K-State coverage. Stay current on what's happening in the Wildcat world of sports. By the end, you might want to tell your friends about us. Or not. But hey, you should. Let's get it.
Thursday night at the Tallgrass Tap House. Got a full table with myself for the KSO Show. Chris Nelson will be joining us shortly. He's not here yet. Let's go around the table here. John Kurtz was with us. You know him from all sorts of places, like his Twitter, like K-Man, like Power Cat Game Day, ESPN broadcasts sometimes. He's done, what haven't you done?
Dancing with the Stars. I haven't done that yet. Really trying to do that.
Well, we'll try to get you on there. We also have Derek Young. There's no mic by Derek Young. He's typing up a recruiting notebook right now. He doesn't have anything interesting to say. Don't give it to him.
Go Cats!
Okay, there we go. But somebody who does have interesting things to say, I'm looking at you, Flanders, but you know it's not you. It's going to be Jimmy, KSU fan. We're excited to have you on. We're going to talk a lot of K-State, Oklahoma State, and Big 12. They know you from places too, right? You have a Twitter.
I have a Twitter. I was on K-Man today also.
He was on K-Man today.
Did you just take anybody on that show now? I used to remember I was thinking it was a big deal, and then I find out, whatever. Last and least, Grant Flanders running the board today. Flanders, why don't you lean in, why don't you say a little something, tell us how you're doing this evening.
I was doing good, and then I came in here, and I'm doing great still.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good stuff all around.
I'm glad it's gotten
Got
better.
a haircut,
sounds
right?
like.
Haircut?
Flanders has gotten a haircut as of late. It looks pretty good. I would have gone even more short. Some would have said shorter there.
As you did. As you have a nice clean cut, too. I don't know if anyone's noticed.
They never do.
Yeah, I noticed it.
He has a hat on.
He has a hat on now. But earlier I saw it.
The
Kurtz
beard
didn't
got
notice
trimmed
it.
too. No one noticed it. So, let's start talking about some basketball. I think people are probably tuned into this edition of the KSO Show from the Tallgrass Tap House to hear a little talk about basketball. We have Kurtzies all around the table, except for me. I'm drinking responsibly tonight, which is water. Kurtz, let's start with you, though. K-State, Oklahoma State. Wildcats, a long time since their last game. You were at media availability today. Do you get the sense that there's been any anxiety built up since that A&M loss, or was it more business as usual, in your opinion?
I think probably leans more towards the business as usual. The thing that I thought was interesting was, it felt to me like on K-Man today we played the Bill Belichick on to Cincinnati, where he just kept saying on to Cincinnati over and over again. They weren't as overt about it and direct about it today, but, a lot of it was there were a bunch of questions about Texas A&M and what happened, and a lot of the general tenor seemed to just be look, we're moving on to Oklahoma State. There's nothing we can do about Texas A&M. And it came from the players first, which is how I think that's what the message has been from the coaches and for the team, because the players are going to regurgitate a lot of times what they've been hearing all week. And that was really what Cardi and Cam were telling us on almost every question like that. We're just focused on Oklahoma State, nothing we can do about A&M. So it feels like they view it more of an aberration than some kind of trend to be real concerned about. I might be reading too much into it, but that was my read from today.
It felt the same to me. Obviously, we're sitting Thursday. You're probably hearing this show Thursday night, Friday morning. A&M game's almost a week old now, so I won't spend a lot of time talking about it because, like John said, K-State's moved past it, I think, for the most part. But, fan, I don't want to put you on a spot that maybe you're not ready for. So if you're not ready, say, I'm not ready. But from what you've seen, how much did that loss to A&M maybe hurt K-State, whether it's from a seeding perspective, maybe an advanced metric rankings perspective? Was it as hurtful as maybe people expected it would be?
Well, it dropped. It had a bigger drop in Ken Palm than it did in the net, which was good. The net was only one spot, so it wasn't a big deal. It also, both Tulsa and Texas A&M are in fairly safe spot right now as far as not dropping to a Tier 3 loss, which is kind of what you want to watch.
Yeah.
Because the net rating will maybe be used a little bit with the S-curve, but it's more for sorting teams based on Tier 1 wins, Tier 2 wins, and that's home way, neutral court, all that kind of stuff. We're not going to get into that. But maybe that and the Tulsa game combined drop us a seed line, so that's not good, but it's not a huge major hit that's going to kill this team as long as they finish the way we all think and hope they're going to finish in this league.
And then from a more, pure basketball perspective, from watching that game, fan, against the Aggies last Saturday, we saw some problems that perhaps weren't totally unique, but we hadn't seen for a little while. Did it give you pause? Did it make you second guess what K-State had shown you in the previous 5 games, or do you take it more as a blip on the radar?
I took it more as a blip on the radar. I think you can look at whether teams play hard and whether they play with focus. And I didn't think it was a lack of effort as much as it was a lack of focus. And I think it was a bunch of guys going down there. I know they're three senior leaders on the team. You're hoping it doesn't happen. But honestly, it happened. I mean, I think we went down there. We weren't as engaged as we needed to be, especially in the first half, when I think we could have put that team away. And it's that old adage, when you play an underdog, the longer you let them in the game, the more confidence they get. And once we went through that string in the second half combined where Dean misses 6 shots in a row, as you guys have talked about on K-Man yesterday, and then Barry Brown goes out with 3 fouls, those two kind of set the perfect storm to let them get into the game and take the lead. And once they took the lead, you just can't turn the switch and get back the kind of momentum you got to get to win a game like that, and we couldn't do it. We just didn't make enough shots.
Flando, moving on to you now. Of course, we're going to start looking a little bit ahead towards Oklahoma State and Stillwater on Saturday. You were at the availability to do today, just like Kurtz and myself were. John said that he thought it was kind of a blip on the radar, at least in their perception. They're moving forward. Did you get the sense K-State has, taken advantage of this week to heal themselves and really turn the focus to Oklahoma State? Did you buy that they're completely past that loss?
Yeah, I think I bought it, especially the demeanor that those two had up in the stand. They just seemed like two guys that were ready for business. It was all business. They didn't really have much fun up there, not any jokes like you sometimes get at some basketball pressers. But
because you didn't ask any questions.
You're right. That's a good one, Zinger. Oh yeah. Anyway, but yeah, no, I think they know the task at hand now. I did like the question at the end of the presser to Bruce asking is this team possibly going to overlook an Oklahoma State team, because on Tuesday you bring in KU, and to me he said it in a good way, because he said if they don't have the knot in their stomach for Oklahoma State, then they'll have trouble. So from that, I'm thinking he's probably seen good things too in practice and think that they're ready for this Pokes team, and not looking over their shoulder to KU.
I think that gives me a good transition to talk to Kurtz about the next point. I was glad that question was asked too, because I think it's interesting. I sure got the sense from that answer and just the talk today that there's very little chance this team looks past Oklahoma State for Kansas. I'm not trying to put out the losing to A&M was good perspective, because it's not a good thing. But did you get the sense that was not a possibility, even with this team, that they could be looking past Oklahoma State?
Well, I do think there's an angle there. Like, I hate to. This is the same strategy that every Kansas fan takes in March, where it's like,
oh, I know.
Well, we got the into the regular season loss out of the way, so the team will be focused for the tournament, or lost in the Big 12 tournament, so now they'll be focused for the NCAA tournament. But there might be something there. That would be a look-ahead factor if you do have Kansas coming in. With Kansas losing and the circumstances that have happened this week, you're in first place. You got a chance to beat them and bury them at home. I think the loss to Texas A&M takes away any real threat of that. I mean, I don't think there's any way that a team that lost that game, then having a week to sit on it, would actually come out and not be real fired up to play. So maybe they lose the game to Oklahoma State, but I would think it would be just because they flat out can't shoot it again, and it's not going to be because of a lack of effort. I really don't get that vibe at all.
Man, I feel the same. I can't argue with you. To start looking at Oklahoma State a little more specifically, Fan, this is the team that comes in 9-11, 2-5 in the Big 12. But, last week in this challenge, they beat a pretty good, at least a South Carolina team that was playing really well in the SEC. They beat them at home, up by a bunch against Oklahoma recently. It's not like they haven't been competitive at all, but what are your thoughts on this Oklahoma State team as a whole?
Well, it's basically a 6-man team. I mean, they've got a couple guys they can stretch to 7 or 8, but they're, you're losing all the guys they lost the transfer semester, and then the 3 guys they just kicked off the team, 2 of them played quite a bit. So they're a short team. They do have some nice players, but some things I looked at this today when I went on with Kurtz is that there's really 2 major factors you're going to look at with Oklahoma State and what they do well when they win. They've got 5 kind of borderline top 100 wins on the season. And the 2 things they've done well is to get to the free throw line more than their opponents and hit more threes than their opponents. Their free throw rate in their 5 wins against Memphis, LSU, Texas, West Virginia, and South Carolina is 50%. So that means they're getting to the line a lot compared to how many field goal attempts. And in those 5 games, they're shooting 42% from 3. Right. And so those were kind of the keys in their wins. And the only game they didn't shoot a lot better from 3 was South Carolina, but they shot 20 more free throws in South Carolina on Saturday. So if you're going to watch anything for this game, you need to watch how they shoot from 3 and how many free throws they shoot. In addition to the free throw thing, 3-point thing, they shoot 43% of their shots from 3 in Big 12 play. Against K-State this year, opponents have shot 47% of their shots from 3 against us in 7 Big 12 games. And that's kind of a dangerous combo because if they do get hot, they're shooting a lot of shots from 3, and that's a recipe to get beat by a team that's not as good as you are.
Obviously, Grant Flanders, is that a concern? We talk about this team that sometimes struggles to score with K-State. So Oklahoma State, as he expressed to us, not a great team, but can make threes and may take a lot of threes as well. So do you get scared about the idea of getting down 9-10 on the road and seeing what this team would do with its offensive struggles against Oklahoma State in that kind of setting?
Yeah, I mean, if they got down, that would be a very concerning thing. But I also think that this defense is still primed to hold an Oklahoma State team down. I think the perimeter defense that they have will slow down Oklahoma State's ability to shoot those threes, and with that, K-State's defense will again have to be the key to getting this victory, and the key that they've got wins all year is that defense manning up.
Nelson has joined us, so we're going to go ahead. We're going to have a little bit of a long activity. We're going to do all as a group after the Oklahoma State preview. So we're going to go ahead and go around. I'm going to start with Kurtz, and then I'll go to Flanders, then Nelson, then to Fan. I'm just going to ask you to tell me your score prediction for the Oklahoma State game, and this can be long. Like, you can tell me why you think this is going to happen, because we're not spending a ton of time on this game, but it's a very important game for K-State. So I just want to hear your prediction of a score and what's going to happen in this game in Stillwater, starting with John Kurtz.
I'll say K-State 72, Oklahoma State 59, and I think a lot of it will just be a matter of wearing down Oklahoma State because, like Fan said, they're so thin. K-State definitely is deeper. I would imagine you get a refocused effort. I would think K-State keeps them at arm's length for most of the game, and then by the end of it, the final 6-7 minutes, really push it out to double figures and win fairly comfortably in Stillwater.
Flanders, it's you now.
I think Oklahoma State's gonna. I think they're going to show K-State everything they have at home in Stillwater, but I still think, like I brought up, I think the defense is going to be too much for the Pokes to really get too much going offensively. I see them cracking the 50s. I'll say 54 to 61. Cats get the win in Stillwater with Barry Brown, I think, getting back into the motion of things. He didn't have a great game against A&M. I think he gets back going to what we know Barry Brown can do.
Hey, Nelson.
Hey.
How are you doing today?
Very, very good.
Well, it's great to have you here. So we're just going to throw you right into the fire, man. K-State, Oklahoma State, Stillwater this Saturday. What happens? What happens down there in Gallagher-Iba?
You never really can predict how this team will shoot the ball, but I have full confidence this team will come out highly motivated. They will come out and play with a passion and be attentive to to the scouting report. I think K-State will win 68-60. I don't think ultimately Oklahoma State has the athleticism on the perimeter. Take away McGriff, who was an elite athlete, but take away him. I don't think they have the athleticism to hurt K-State. And so K-State's guards will be able to get up in Oklahoma State and cause some issues for them.
Fan, it's 3 picks for the Cats. I'm sure you're going to be the one who goes against here and takes the Pokes ball if you upset at home. What do you think?
No, thank you. I agree with others. I think we're going to see an engaged and intense defensive effort from K-State. Focused effort on defense. Hard to say on shooting. I think we'll shoot better. I see K-State maybe being ahead most of the game, often within 5 to 3 points, and then pulling away late to win 65-56.
That's 4 for the Cats. I'm not gonna pick as I just host today. What did you? What? You can't make it, Nelson. You can't. No, I'm hosting today. I'm like, what's his name? Reese Davis. The reason I'm not making a pick is because the activity we're gonna get into, I need to have a tiebreaker option, be Derek Young, And if I pick 2, we have 5 pickers, and we'll never have a tie. So there's thought going into it. Was that what you're making that crazy face for, Nelson?
Yes.
Okay. I thought maybe you didn't like something fans said, and I wanted to hear what your problem with it was, but whatever. So, okay, guys, so here's what we're going to do the rest of the way. Again, you're listening to the KSO show. We're recording tonight from the Tallgrass Tap House and Points. Our other 2 sponsors also located on Points would be Harry's and Bourbon and Baker. I saw Bourbon and Baker tweet out, they always tweet out fancy-looking specials. I can't remember what it was, so this is a great advertisement. But Bourbon and Baker and Harry's, 2 other places, we appreciate their sponsorship. What we're going to do, guys, is now pick the rest of the Big 12 schedule. We're going to pick every game in the league. We started already. I just saw a funny thing on the group me. I'll laugh at it. It's okay. I'll close that back down. So we've already started. We have K-State over Oklahoma State. I'm going to ask you guys every game. We're just going to go around the table. I will tell you guys the pattern, and I bet if you guys listen hard enough, Flanders, I won't have to tell you the pattern every single time. It's going to go Kurtz, Flanders, Nelson, Fan. Kurtz, Flanders, Nelson, Fan. That's how we're going to answer this every time. If tied, we'll go to Derek Young. I'll keep track of the standings, and we're going to see who wins the Big 12. Where does K-State finish? Let's all find out. We don't need to watch the rest of the games. We can do this right here and get that done. We do have over 50 games to pick, so let's not make it about a minute and a half conversation on every single game. But I would love to have some time where if it's a good opportunity to discuss 2 teams who are, really competitive or disagree, then get into it. But, so if it's something crazy like West Virginia playing Kansas, which KU would never lose to West Virginia, that's a joke. Don't talk about that one. Okay, that's what I needed. All right, Kurtz, here we go. Kurtz, Flanders, Nelson, Fan. This weekend, Baylor at home against TCU. Kurtz.
Oh boy, gut instinct actually says TCU. I've been hyping up Baylor all week, but I don't know why TCU.
Kurtz has
pops to mind
TCU.
I love their offense.
I
can shoot it against the zone.
Flanders.
I'm going to go Baylor here. I like what they've been doing. They're tied for first with K-State in the top of the league.
Home?
Yeah, at home. Give me the Bears.
1-1. Nelson, TCU at Baylor.
TCU is a desperate team. This may be their last chance to make a claim that they're a top half of the Big 12 team. So give me TCU.
Interesting. We could have DY involved as the tiebreaker, depending on what Fan tells us about TCU and Baylor.
I'm leaning toward TCU as well. I think Baylor's kind of played the 3-point lottery to a T so far in the Big 12. And I think sometimes when you play the 3-point lottery, you lose, and they're going to lose this one.
Sometimes one can only be right.
I would have. Well, yeah, that's true. Okay, moving down the list, a lot of games left. I'll just ask it this way. Does anybody want to make a case for Texas winning at Iowa State this weekend? Anybody like that?
No.
Okay, perfect. We'll skip that. Seems like a pretty obvious one. Another big game. Well, I'll get your picks on this. We're going to start with Kurtz again. Kansas hosting, I think they're 12-0 at home this year, hosting Texas Tech, 2 of the top teams in the league, Red Raiders and Jayhawks in Allen Fieldhouse.
Yeah, it feels like another one of those Texas-Iowa State in the Allen Fieldhouse kind of games. I'll take Kansas in a close one.
Flanders.
Yeah, I mean, Kansas is going to get things back and rolling, and they have a talented enough team to win at home, yeah.
You guys both feel the same? Okay.
And, yeah.
Fair enough, yep.
Yeah.
Okay, everyone likes Kansas in that game. We've already picked K-State over Oklahoma State. Last game this week, West Virginia at home against Oklahoma. Starting with Kurtz, West Virginia home against Oklahoma.
I'm tempted to say West Virginia. I'll go Oklahoma, though. I think Oklahoma's good enough to go. I mean, they need a win. They better win that thing.
I like West Virginia in this one. I mean, it seems like, yeah, Oklahoma doesn't have much of a target on their back or anything like KU did when they came into Morgantown and lost. But I still think West Virginia gets it done at home.
West Virginia, Oklahoma. Not a huge game this week, Nelson. Who do you got?
Boomer Sooner.
Okay. Fan?
I'm going to go with Bob Huggins. I think first Bolden comes back. OU has the worst offense in the league. They're the worst shooting team in the league. That's a bad recipe for going on the road.
DY, I need you. We have a tie. We have Oklahoma, West Virginia. Just give me a signal. Tell me something.
Ears.
Okay, West Virginia gets the win at home.
I like
so
it. Get spicy.
There we go, guys. All right, let's move forward to February 4th through the 6th. First game to pick, the Sooners at home. Fan just told us they're terrible, Kurtz. Does Oklahoma beat Iowa State at home in Norman?
No, I don't see that. I don't think that home environment's going to be anything to slow down Iowa State.
Iowa State keeps it rolling. Two in a row for what we're talking about.
Wingington and Lauren may be coming alive, so I'll go with Slide Cones.
Yeah, I think it's Iowa State.
Iowa State goes a clean sweep, winning at Oklahoma. The Sooners have struggled at home for sure. Texas Tech at home against West Virginia. Anybody want to take West Virginia in this game? I'm see shaking, so we're taking Texas Tech over West Virginia. Some would say the next game will have an impact on the league race. It is two teams, Kansas State at home against Kansas. So this might be one, of course, maybe you talk a second about if you really need to talk yourself through this one. We know who John Kurtz is picking for sure.
You know how much I love the Hawks.
We do. We like so much. So John Kurtz, you're going to be the one, unfortunately or fortunately, leads it off. K-State hosting Kansas this coming Tuesday. Who do you like? And I'm not going to hold you guys to this like next.
Yeah.
If you guys change your mind Monday, awesome. But like right now for this activity, who do you like?
I feel like K-State will win this. Kansas has been really bad on the road. They seem mortal on the road. They're not really a step above like they usually seem to be. I'll take K-State. Even if K-State struggles shooting, I think the home crowd, the energy, the defense will be enough to win.
Yeah, I feel like it's going to be a homer one because I'd be surprised if these two go KU in this route. And I'm picking K-State as well. I think that this is they're definitely going to get them at home. I think the one in Lawrence later on when we talk about that will be a lot more interesting, but give me the Cats at home.
I'll say it quietly, KU.
Okay, do we need to bring DY in? Fan, what do you think?
We have the best team at forcing turnovers against one of the worst teams at protecting the ball. And I think that'll be the key in the game, and K-State will win this one. Bruce is due against KU.
Yeah.
3-1, K-State gets the win at home over Kansas. TCU, probably a pretty heavy favorite at home over Oklahoma State. Does anybody want to convince me that Oklahoma State's going to win on the road at TCU? See, all head shakes. We're taking TCU. Then an interesting one, I would say. Texas hosts Baylor that day, starting with Kurtz again. Texas at home against Baylor.
I feel like Baylor will go get that. I know the Longhorns just won at the Irwin Center against Kansas, but I don't think part of this is in my head. I just picked Baylor to lose. I don't think they're going to continue losing a bunch of games. I think they're too good, so I'll take them to win at Texas.
I understand that. Flanders, what do you got?
I think Texas at home. I like what they did against KU recently, and I think that they keep that rolling and have a good game at home against the Baylor Bears.
Tied up, Nelson. Which way are you going to swing this? We got Texas at home against Baylor.
I'm not a fan of the Texas zone offense, so give me the Bears.
Okay, fan.
Shaka is up and down, and I think he's down in this game, and Baylor finds a way to win.
Baylor. People are going against you, Kurtz, on this. I don't know what they're thinking. Nelson, you look like you want to talk.
Oh, I'd just say a fan was clean-shaven. He would look a little bit like Shaka.
I've heard that before.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Let's move on to February 9th. This will be a Saturday after that. Baylor at home. We all have Baylor doing different things. Baylor at home against K-State. The two teams tied for the Big 12 lead right now. Baylor, Cats, Waco, Kurtz. What happens? Tell us.
So kind of the same reasoning that Nelson just used there. I don't really like the idea of K-State going against a team that is used to playing zone all the time and being on the road. I'm going to lean Baylor.
Flando, do the Bears get a big win at home over the Wildcats? What do you got?
No, I think Baylor.
I wish you would just said no. That would have been the best.
I think K-State is going to go in there and get it done. I think Baylor right now is not the team that they are currently in the standings at number one in the Big 12. So, yeah, Cats get the win away.
Flando says Baylor's not who they are. What do you think?
Going to make me sound like a hypocrite for what I just said, but, yeah, give me K-State.
He is a hypocrite, fan. Can you let him get away with that? Do you think K-State goes to Waco, gets a big win over the Bears?
Two of K-State's best two-point percentage games last year were against Baylor.
They were.
We may say zones are bad for us, but I don't think Baylor zones are.
It hasn't been recently.
And I think we go down there and get the road win.
We don't need you. We don't need you, DY. All we have to come for you is Sooners in Oklahoma or Sooners in West Virginia at this point. It was a big one. Thanks for helping us out with that. We appreciate it.
These guys sounded way smarter saying that stuff than what I did.
I don't know. I think your voice sounded good though. You look great. You know. DY is over here trying to start a little bit of problems here. He's reminding Kurtz that everyone thinks he's dumb. So let's go on, Kurtz. Iowa State. These are two of your teams. Iowa State at home against TCU. Any chance your hot shooting Horned Frogs go to Hilton Magic and beat the Cyclones?
I feel like Iowa State's like a better, more complete version of an offensive-minded team like that. I'll take Iowa State.
Is anybody liking TCU in this one? Because this may be a sweep for the Cyclones, in our opinion. Nobody. Okay, we're taking Iowa State to be. Nelson gives me these looks all the time.
I
like
love
he's
them. Well,
desperate to
I
talk.
was going to say
He will literally
TCU,
go,
but the one vote wouldn't be enough to.
You still can throw it in there though.
Okay.
When I say something like, "Does anybody disagree?" and you disagree, go ahead and throw it out there.
True.
Yeah. What if Flanders was sitting over there thinking, "I kind of like him," but Iowa State gets the win. Nobody's taking Oklahoma State to win at Kansas, I assume. DY says he would, but he's not involved in this. Oklahoma at home. I feel like we picked the Sooners to lose a lot in this so far. Oklahoma at home against Texas Tech. Kurtz, do the Sooners win any games in Norman, or does Tech go in there and get another big win for the Red Raiders?
Oklahoma's kind of scarred me, man. I don't trust them to do anything. Certainly not beat Texas Tech.
I don't either, Flando. Do you have any crazy thoughts on this one?
Kurtz put it perfectly. No.
Okay. No.
Guns up.
All right, that's enough already. Did you like the Sooners?
I would pick OU in this one. The two worst offenses in the league, probably, and I think OU might win this one.
Okay, not enough to swing the favor, but when it happens, fan can tell you that he thought it was going to happen. Last game that Saturday, West Virginia at home against Texas. Huggins against the Longhorns. Is West Virginia dead and gone at this point, or are they playing spoiler and knocking off Texas?
Very good question.
Thank you.
Where their like mindset is at that point. I'm going to say West Virginia here. I'll take them to nip Texas. It just feels like Texas is going to be really up and down, not be consistent enough, and they're going to have to tack on those 15 losses they have every year somehow. I'll give them a loss there.
Is it the return of Press Virginia against the Longhorns?
It's in Morgantown?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ooh,
It's the return of Press
two.
Virginia.
We only need one more pick. Either of you guys, Nelson?
Kanate rises from the ashes and puts Kerr and Roach on his back. Give me the
West
Mountaineers.
Virginia. Who would you have had?
I'd go with shock on this one.
Oh, of course, shocking. It would have been. So let's move ahead to February 11th through the 13th.
Wasn't it 2-2? No.
Baylor
No, it was
at home against Oklahoma. Does anybody like OU to go to Baylor and win? Anybody like you guys with your table talking right now, Flanders? I'm going to come across the table and headbutt.
Oh, do it. Do it.
Does anybody like Oklahoma to go into Baylor and beat the Bears? Nobody does. We're taking Baylor at home against Oklahoma. Here's a big one. TCU at home against Kansas. Kurtz.
TCU.
TCU.
Horned Frogs.
Loves them. Flando, can KU get a win on the road in the Big 12 at TCU?
Yeah, I think KU gets this one done on the road in a non-hostile environment.
Okay, Nelson 1-1.
KU.
Nelson picked KU to win every game, so we should have known that. We got Hawk Chalk over here. I was wrong. I was wrong, fan. It's coming to you. Do you think KU gets this one at TCU as well?
Alex Robinson, Jamie Dixon. Horned Frogs win.
Tied up. DY. Now this is a much more. Give DY a mic because this is a much more important pick. I want DY to shine on this. He's been hardly on the pod at all. Derek, coming to you. Big game. TCU at home against Kansas. 2-2. You're the one who decides this. Who's winning this game?
One of the biggest upsets ever in college basketball was when Jamie Dixon beat KU early on when he first got hired at TCU.
It was Trent Johnson.
Fan says it was Trent Johnson.
Oh, okay, well, TCU still has done that before.
They still
And
have
they're
the
playing the
confidence.
YMCA team, a version of Kansas. So
But they have a history of doing this to KU, so I think they do it again.
Derek Young splits the tie. TCU gets the win at home over Kansas. Probably pretty wise. I might have picked the Horned Frogs, but who knows? I'm hosting, guys. I'm not doing that today. You know, I could give you a key to the game, you know, because that stuff's so lame. I'm talking about Kirk Herbstreit's key to okay, yeah.
Trent Johnson.
I hope that came through. We have a big game involving the Wildcats again. K-State staying on the road in Texas, as the KSO crew will be doing, which will be a lot of fun. Texas at home against K-State. The Longhorns beat K-State by 20 in Manhattan. What's going to happen when the rematch in Austin?
Revenge. Nobody gets Bruce Weber twice in 1 year.
Never.
My friends. Never.
Yeah. Give me the Cats in Austin. I can't wait to be there, by the way. It's going to be a fun time.
It's going to be a great time. We have two Cats. Nelson, did K-State go down and win at Texas?
Austin is a great town. K-State is a better team.
Ooh.
The smart pick is Bruce.
Not shocking.
Nicely done.
Anyway, a
Nicely
sweep
done.
there. K-State gets a huge win at Texas. I'll drop in my brief thoughts. I would have said similar to you guys. Like, I think there's a better chance. Let's stop for a second. Is there a better chance of K-State losing at Baylor or at Texas? I would have said Baylor. I got the same sense from you guys. Would anybody disagree? Does anybody think that's okay? So we all think Baylor's the scarier game. We're on a limb there. The two teams tied for first, would be a tougher game. Way to go, guys. I started it. Texas loses to K-State. I did set you up. Oklahoma State at home against Texas Tech. Did the Pokes win? Anybody want to make a case for the Pokes stealing one in Stillwater against the Red Raiders? DY loves to raise his hand. Nelson desperately wants to.
Nope.
Oh, my gosh, he did it again.
They might steal one, but not this one.
Not this one, guys. We're getting through a number of weeks. That's through 4 segments of games. There's only 7 left. I can't tell you where the records are right now, but that's kind of fun not to know. Like, who knows what's going on. Let's move to February 16th. Big game. K-State at home against Iowa State. The Wildcats stole one in the Hilton Coliseum. Does Iowa State come back and steal it right back, Kurtz?
I actually think they might. I'm going to go Iowa State on that one. I think that's a tough team to beat twice.
Ooh, I mean, I don't disagree. The Clones look great, Flanders. Does K-State sweep them?
Yes, they do. I think at that point, and even coming up, once KU hits on Tuesday, that will be a hostile environment the rest of the way through the conference season, and I think that's just too much for a lot of teams, including Iowa State, to come in and win at.
For whatever it's worth, and maybe it's not fair that I'm giving Flanders this sense of perspective that I didn't give Kurtz, but if this has all happened at this point, K-State would be, because we picked them to beat Oklahoma State, Kansas, Baylor, and Texas, we would have K-State sitting at 9-2 in the Big 12, probably in the top 15.
Not me.
And running when Nelson wouldn't, but in this scenario they are. So I'm just saying that's not fair. You didn't get to know that, but you picked Iowa State.
Yeah,
I probably would too. So I'm
Iowa State.
Stick with it. Nelson, who do you got?
I think K-State's a tougher team, and I like their attention to detail in those grinded-out games against Iowa State, so give me the Cats.
Fan, does K-State get another dub here over Iowa State at home?
I agree. The matchup, I think, is a favorable one for us. For some reason, I think we defend them well, and I think we find a way to win in the OD.
Huge win, season sweep of the Cats. I would have been with you, Kurtz, for the record, but I'm not picking. DY would have too. We would have gone 3-3, so that's definitely a toss-up in our minds. KU at home is going to handle West Virginia. No one's going to see another shocking result there. We're going to put that one down. TCU at home against Oklahoma. Does anyone like the Sooners to go to Fort Worth and beat Oklahoma? Nobody does. I don't either. Here's a big game. Texas Tech at home against Baylor. At this point, we probably still have them 2 top 4 teams in the league. Texas Tech at home against Baylor, Kurtz. Baylor has already beaten Tech once, I believe. Can they do it twice and do it again in Lubbock?
My gut tells me Texas Tech on that one. I think they'll split. I think Baylor's a slightly better team, but I think they're even enough that they'll split that series.
I can't argue with that rationalization. Can you, Flanders?
I mean, yeah, I don't think Baylor is the better. I think Texas Tech is the better team.
Pick, which is awesome.
Yeah,
for the
pretty
record.
much. Yeah.
I think you disagree with Kurtz on every pick.
I think Tech is
it.
the better team, and it's easy. It's Jarrett Culver to me is that good, and he gets the win there. In Waco, Kurtz. I don't know if we had disagreed this whole time, though. Have we?
I think you've disagreed on
Have we?
Almost every
every
single
pick.
one.
I love it.
Well,
I love it.
you know what?
Because
Makes for good podcasting.
It does. Makes for good podcasting, and it puts Nelson in a fun spot every time where it's 1-1 coming to Nelson.
Yeah.
Texas Tech at home against Baylor. Who's sold you more in this argument, Kurtz or
Kurtz.
Oh, okay. So you're taking Baylor? No, Tech.
No, Tech.
Tech.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tech. So you've all taken Tech now?
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
would
but
you
I-
have taken Tech?
yeah.
Fear the
But do you
beard.
think Baylor's a
Fear
better
the beard.
team
Yeah,
too?
slightly, yeah.
Yeah.
Fear the beard.
So Tech gets that win. Anybody like Oklahoma State to go win at Texas and Austin? DY is thankfully he's not on this pod. No one likes that one either. I don't. So we're up through that Saturday. Let's move ahead. Just 3 games in this segment. Maybe a couple easy ones. Oklahoma State at home against TCU. Well, let's ask about that. Let's talk about that. Any chance TCU goes and loses in Stillwater? It could happen, Kurtz. Could it happen?
It could
Would you
happen.
pick it? Would you pick it right now?
I don't think it will happen.
He won't do it.
I'll
I bet you
pick
will.
it. Yeah,
I bet
give-
you will. I knew it.
Give me the Pokes stealing one at home, you
You
know?
love the Pokes.
Oklahoma State won't go winless, so yeah, give me the Pokes.
Oh, are we going to have an upset here? Do we take Oklahoma State, or do you side with Kurtz and bring DY into the equation?
The Pokes will win a few, and this is one of them.
This is one of them. Kurtz has been alone on a lot of these, Kurtz, and I think I tend to believe you're right on a lot of these. But these guys, hey, does K-State? We have K-State now at 10-2 in the Big 12 at this point. I
We
know.
may need to rethink this.
I mean, we're at
For the
10.
record, I would have K-State at 8-4.
Everyone's like, oh, I mean, I would have them.
For the record, hang the banner. Like I don't know why we're.
So, but in our scenario, they're 10-2 right now, guys. They are probably ranked 9th in the country, probably a game or 2 ahead in the Big 12 at this point. They're on the road at West Virginia. Is this a letdown for K-State against West Virginia, or does the number 1 team in the league handle the worst team in the league on the road?
I think K-State would win that game. Yeah, I think so.
Here's an agreement. Here's the first agreement.
No.
Oh.
Hey, KU went in there and couldn't get it done. I think you'll get an even better version of West Virginia in Morgantown than they saw at home in Manhattan, and that nearly beat them that time. And, yeah, that was a K-State team that was down, but I think K-State loses in Morgantown.
Morgantown has been a house of horrors for K-State, and, yeah, they're due to beat somebody again at some point. Yeah, give me the Mountaineers.
Shocking. We're about to go 3-1 against Kurtz on this. What do you think, fan? Do you like K-State to get the win at West Virginia?
Bob Huggins' team will pull off another upset at some point, but it won't be this game.
Not on
K-State
this game.
wins 11 straight.
So
11 straight league games.
That's true. That would be K-State's 11th straight Big 12 win. Clearly going to happen. DY, first K-State pick, I believe, of this pod. Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right? K-State, West Virginia, in Morgantown. And again, the scenario here is K-State is just rolling on to the national championship.
Country
at this
roads.
point.
Country roads.
Oh, wow.
I would have picked West Virginia, too. So
Take
we have
me
West
home.
Virginia upsetting K-State.
To a
at
place
home. I could see that happening.
I
Let's
belong.
move ahead. Stop it. Gosh, no one wants to ever hear you say it. This guy. Everyone, Kurtz, do you want to hear him say it?
whispered
Yeah, not really, man.
No one
No,
does.
you're my arch nemesis right now.
That's
I'm
arch.
gonna give it-
You just
I
asked
could
my
skip
arch.
Flando on every one of these because it's just the opposite of whatever Kurtz said. Kurtz, Baylor at home against West Virginia. Does anybody think West Virginia goes and beats Baylor too?
No.
No, we're skipping that one. Nobody probably thinks K-State's losing at home to Oklahoma State. We go past that one.
No.
Rolling on. Oklahoma at home against Texas. Red River rivalry shootout war, whatever you can't say. Do the Sooners get some revenge over Matthew McConaughey's Longhorns in Norman?
See, I'm losing track of what we have Texas at.
No idea.
In my mind, I just had Texas losing right before that, and I think they'll just be up and down, up and down. I'm going to go up here for Texas. I think they would win that game.
Flando, Sooners, Longhorns. Kyler Murray, Sam Ellinger, give me a pick.
Where's it at again? Sorry, I missed that.
I'm glad you're paying attention. Norman.
I'll take the home team in this one. The Sooners.
Oklahoma.
Yeah. So give me the Sooners in the
Again.
again. And
I don't even need to come. Nelson.
Crimson.
Fan.
I would say I've been thinking that the Sooners are probably the most likely team to fall apart and fall out of this race. And this is another game that proves it. Longhorns win. Shaka go.
Are we tied now? I think we're tied. It means DY. You're going to talk a little Red River rivalry. You correctly predicted both football games this year. You had Texas winning the first one, OU winning the second. You're pretty much impeccable at this kind of game. Tell us who wins.
3 touchdowns, Kyler Murray.
That means Oklahoma, I believe. I got confused for a second. But the Sooners win. A couple more big games, guys. This is a big week in the Big 12. The nice thing, too, is if you're a K-State guy, you get to play Oklahoma State at home and feel good about it, while some other teams have some stressful games. These are 2 stressful games, Kurtz. TCU at home against Iowa State. Again, your 2 teams were flipping the script now. It's in Fort Worth. Clones, Frogs. Tell Flando who to pick because it's the opposite of whoever you
Yeah,
pick.
I hope Flando likes the Frogs because I'm taking Iowa State here. I'm gonna say Steve Prohm goes and gets that road dub.
Yeah, this is where me and Kurtz actually come together and say
love Iowa State.
we do. Iowa State gets it
I
done
love them
in
too.
Fort Worth. They almost got it done in Lawrence a couple games ago, right? Not that. Yeah, you were talking about it. Nelly was talking about the YMCA version of the Hawks this year, right? Right, Nelly?
The year that TCU beat him, Yep.
I remember that.
Yep.
Perfectly said, Flanders. Let's go on to Nelson. I think you nailed it. We've got 2 Iowa State picks for winning at TCU. Are you another clone cast guy?
I believe the consensus was that Iowa State would win in Ames, so I'll pick TCU to win here. I think these 2 teams will have a
There we
minimum
go.
split.
There we go. That feels a little more right to me. I'm not trying to push fan a certain direction. But Iowa State at TCU, you've got 2 guys over here picking the clones. You got one Nelson. Whose side you going with?
I'm going with Nelson. Jamie Dixon gets another big win, and TCU stays in a good spot for the NCAA tournament.
I love it because we got a tie, bringing DY back in. DY TCU at home against Iowa State.
Iowa State's not good on the road, like really bad, actually. Jamie Dixon, better coach. Frogs.
TCU, I tell you what, you get Kurtz and Flanders together for one prediction, and you know it can't be the right one. So everyone else goes TCU. Another huge game in this same week. Texas Tech at home against Kansas. one of the bigger games, maybe one of the top 3-4 games of the year. Red Raiders at home against KU, February 23rd. John Kurtz.
I think my Hawks are going to get beat by Texas Tech.
How could you even say that?
I can't see Kansas going and grinding out a game like that at Tech.
2 in a row where me and Kurtz are on the same page. And, the Hawks, they go down in Lubbock.
Let's bring in Roy Williams himself here, Chris Nelson, to tell us how Kansas is going to win at Texas Tech.
Bobby Knight, Red Raiders.
Would you have gone with a sweep, too? Would you have taken Tech to win this game?
It's a sweep, yep.
Everyone likes Texas Tech
wins.
to take care of business at home against the Jayhawks. Moving on, only 4 segments of games left. You're listening to the KSO show from the Tallgrass Tap House, what we're doing right now. I love it when I explain things like it's a radio show, that there's a chance they just tuned in right now when it's a podcast. So in case you turned on
Hey, I can appreciate that.
In case you turned on Podbean and decided I'm going to click 37 minutes into it, what we're doing right now is picking every game in the Big 12 to tell you the undisputed, inarguable, perfect Big 12 standings that are going to happen this year. We're on February 25th through the 27th. We start Iowa State. You guys would never pick against them in any scenario, so I don't know why I'm doing it. Iowa State at home against Oklahoma. Everyone likes the Clones in this one?
Yes.
Yes.
We all got it. Let's move on to another pretty big game. Round 2 of the Sunflower Showdown. K-State, at this point, well, they did lose to West Virginia, so we got them off that bit of the 100-game winning streak. I think they'd be 11-3 in the Big 12. K-State heads to Allen Fieldhouse, where they've had back-to-back very, very close losses to the Jayhawks. This is for a sweep and probably to get close to locking up the Big 12 championship. K-State at KU, Kurtz.
I will say that there is a controversial call late that causes K-State to lose the game.
Oh, we'll be so mad. Flando, you'll be mad, right? Is that what's going to happen? Is he right?
I'll say they'll lose. I don't know if it's going to be controversy, but there's a good chance there will be.
I like that Flando just morphed into this character for the rest of the show. It's actually exactly where you should be, and I appreciate it. So, Nelson, we have 2 KU homers here picking the Hawks. Go ahead and do what makes you happy. Who do you got in this game?
Cam Stokes will have his turn to try to win a game late. Barry and Dean couldn't get it done. Neither will Cam. Hawks.
You sweeping the cats out of this one?
Unfortunately, Jim Woolridge and Clint Stewart are not walking through that door.
But there's a DR or a Jada, on the team. So I can't believe you guys picked that. I think it's disgusting. TCU at West Virginia. TCU at West Virginia. Does anybody want to make a case for West Virginia here?
Yeah, see, you guys have all been picking like West Virginia to get K-State, whatever. This is the game that
This
West
is the
Virginia
game,
picks off.
guys.
TCU lets up. West Virginia picks that one off.
How about that? Flando?
No. TCU doesn't have a big enough target on their back for that to happen.
Okay,
They're going to go in there, and West Virginia's going to TCU's going to win.
Yes, this is great. Nelson, try to follow that up.
Giving me West Virginia.
West Virginia, we're tied up, fan. Do you think this be tied up coming to you, TCU, West Virginia?
What's your gut?
Fan literally just shrugged his shoulders, took us like, I don't know.
Let's go with Alex Robinson. He's going to make it happen.
Okay, TCU. That gets enough for TCU to get this. Are we tied? Yeah. No, we're tied. I know who you're picking.
So many
I know
West
who you're
Virginia
picking.
ties.
Yeah. And go ahead, pick them.
I'm going to go with West Virginia.
Oh, he is. I would have guessed TCU for him. I would have been wrong. Okay, guys, a couple more. This segment of games, probably maybe the biggest game of the week here than Iowa State, Oklahoma, K-State, KU, the other ones that are bigger, would be Baylor at home against Texas. Baylor could still be in the leg race at this point. Texas, we're riding that roller coaster. Kurtz, Baylor or Texas? Waco.
Baylor by 20.
Ooh, Baylor blows them out, which means Flando loves Texas.
Texas by 10.
Yep, well said. Nelson.
Kurtz is way off. Baylor by 19.
Couple Baylor blowouts. Flando likes Texas. Tell Flando he's wrong. Texas isn't going into the Farrell Center where nobody wins and knocking off Baylor, are they?
Everybody's favorite lovable loser, slimy coach, Scott Drew, pulls one out.
Oh, he's not terrible. That's what you say about Scott Drew. Yep. All right, so we can go to one more game. Could be a fast one. Texas Tech at home against Oklahoma State. Red Raiders all the way around. Count it up. All right, just 3 segments left. March 2nd, K-State at home against Baylor. Y'all picked K-State to win in Waco, I believe.
I picked them to lose.
Okay, Kurtz, the non-homer here, Hawk Talk himself, picked K-State to lose to Baylor. Does K-State beat Baylor at home, though?
I think so. I'll take K-State to beat Baylor at home. Yes.
Yeah, Sweep City.
That was planned, though. It was perfect.
Give me K-State.
Okay, Nelson can't even say it. Give me K-State. Baylor making any problems to the Wildcats here?
Bruce owns Drew again.
Oh, he does. I'm not going to work here anymore. All right, Kansas at Oklahoma State, guys. I feel like Kansas loses this game every single year. Oklahoma State not very good. Well, let's ask it because it seems like this is a problem for KU. KU at Stillwater. Any chance here? Not any chance. Is it going to happen?
I think Kansas will win this, yeah.
Pokes, baby.
Okay.
Fox.
Pokes.
2-2. So we get to bring in DY. Two people like Oklahoma State to beat Kansas in Stillwater. Is the curse of Bill Self's degree still, because he loses to his old school sometimes. That's what it is, yeah.
Rock Chalk.
Okay, so Kansas gets the win.
He's been yelling Rock Chalk over there.
I get to say Rock Chalk. He just takes it in a heartbeat. You guys love KU. Love them. Oklahoma at home against West Virginia. I'm not excited, so just get through it. Oklahoma, West Virginia.
I mean, I guess Oklahoma.
Okay.
I don't feel great about
The Mountaineers.
Love it. Oklahoma, West Virginia.
Sooners.
Yeah, Lon's still fighting for the NCAA tournament.
Oklahoma, we're having them beat West Virginia at home. Just the most boring game we could get to right now would be Oklahoma, West Virginia, I feel like. TCU at home against Texas Tech. This isn't boring. Two good teams located in the state of Texas. Two tournament teams probably still battling. We have no idea where they are right now. We're probably still in the upper 3 or 4 teams in the league. TCU at home against Tech.
I think that game's going to mean more to TCU at that point, so I will say Horned Frogs.
How do the Red Raiders sound to you?
I'm still, I'm part of that Culver cult. Is that what they call it? Something like that?
That's what they call it.
And give me those.
Sweeping the nation.
Give me those Red Raiders probably sweeping TCU. I don't know.
I promise you guys he's fine right now. Go ahead, Nelson.
Frogs.
So what do we got here? We got 2-1 coming to you. Texas Tech at TCU.
They're not quite as bad as Oklahoma State, but TCU is still a depleted roster, and eventually it's going to catch up with them, and I think Tech wins this one.
Does that tie us up again? It does.
Ties us
Another
right
DY. up. DY, this is a big one. TCU at home against Texas Tech. Who do you like? Who's the better team here? Who do you think the team's a better team, and who wins the game? Could be different things. I just want to know your opinion on who you like better.
Just because they don't have Jalen Fisher, I think Tech is the better team, and I think they win.
Okay, Red Raiders winning at TCU. Big win for the Red Raiders. Boo. Texas, probably. This is probably one of those games that they really might need to really solidify their NCAA tournament standing. This is the last game of March 2nd. Texas at home against the Iowa State Cyclones. Clones for Kurtz, right? Right, Kurtz? Because you love them, huh?
I'm going to say Texas.
We'll start calling you
Texas
Horton
pulls the upset because Texas will have to have that, and Texas
Nick
every
Weiler
year
Kurtz.
perpetually gets into the tournament with 14, 15 losses. So I'll take Texas.
Texas, never mind.
I'm agreeing with you here, Kurtz.
Texas, 2 Texas wins over Iowa State at home. Does Texas beat Iowa State at home, Nelson?
They do not.
guys-
They don't know
guys
what they're
crazy?
talking about. Yeah.
They don't know what
crazy.
they're talking about. You going to tell them that Nelson's right?
Shaka.
Oh, Texas does beat Iowa State at home. Here we go. Big win for the Longhorns. Just 2 segments left. March 4th through 6th. TCU at home against Kansas State. TCU and K-State play a lot of entertaining games, as Kurtz always says, and he's always right. Does K-State beat TCU again? Or is it time for the tables to turn to the other purple team in the League of 12?
I'm gonna say K-State. I think K-State. I'm buying into what fans said about lack of depth catching up to them. I'll take the Cats.
Give me the Horned Frogs in this one. Quatnoy, was that a season-ending injury?
No,
that
he's
had?
played it every game.
He was
He's played
sick.
every
He's
game.
played
since-
it every game since. he had the stomach flu.
Perfect. He's going to be in that game. He's going to be in that game in Fort Worth against the Cats. And he wasn't there in Manhattan. He's going to be the difference. The Horned Frogs get the win.
You know, you guys ever seen the movie Necessary Roughness? You ever seen it?
Yes.
Have you guys ever seen it? And they're like worried, like, is it fatal? And they're like, indigestion? No, only in Mexico or something like that. I don't know. Nelson, I'm just going to go to you now. We're tied 1-1. K-State going to Fort Worth.
TCU does put a lot of stress on K-State's defense. If K-State can force TCU to take a lot of long twos, I like K-State, but they won't TCU.
Yeah, a little sneaky, a little bit of swerve there, a little whoop-doop.
I like the Cats pulling off a road win here.
Tied up, give it back to DY. We've got a tie. K-State TCU. Big game. Fort Worth, Wildcats, Horned Frogs. solve this for us.
I think Jamie Dixon gets the win. I think he's pretty good against Cats.
TCU gets the win at
Have you
home
picked the
against
Cats
TCU.
once?
3 last year,
I think DY picks against the Cats every time.
I think I've heard you yelling the other team's mascot every time.
Does anybody? I'm going to go a little faster because I want to get to the league finals here. This is not a gimme, but you guys, does anybody like Texas to win at Texas Tech? Anybody like that?
No.
Nobody likes that. I don't either. Okay, we're going to go past it. Does anybody like Oklahoma to beat KU at home? Does KU go lose in Norman? Anybody? We can say it. No. Okay, I agree. Okay. Anybody think Baylor loses at home to Oklahoma State? Is that a gimme? Baylor at home over Oklahoma State? Yes. You think Baylor wins or loses?
It's a gimme.
Gimme. So Baylor wins that game. How about another one here? Another possible gimme. West Virginia's at home. Big target, Flanders. Maybe you like this. West Virginia at home against Iowa State. Anybody like that? Like West Virginia beat Iowa State in Morgantown?
I already took them to lose that random game to Texas, so I'm going to say Iowa State.
Okay, so we're going to give Iowa State that win. This is the last Saturday, March 9th of Big 12 play. Starting with Kurtz, Iowa State at home against Texas Tech. Big game. Cyclones at home against Jarrett Culver. The Culver Colt going to Hilton Magic. What happens?
I think Culver will score like 20, but Iowa State wins.
Flando.
Yeah, I got to stick with the Culver Colt, and they go in there to Ames, and they get it done. Culver with like 40 probably.
40 at least for Jarrett Culver.
They will
in
take
Ames.
40 because I don't think anyone else is going to score enough. Give me the clones.
Iowa State big.
Iowa State at home. K-State. Anybody want Oklahoma to win at K-State? Anybody calling that one? I don't think so. We're taking K-State to beat Oklahoma and wrap up the regular season at home. Kansas at home against Baylor. Anybody taking Baylor to go to Allen and get that win? I mean, no. I see some
Would be
thinking about
nice,
it. DY
but-
would have, but no one is passionate enough to convince me to talk about that game. I'm not going to fight Oklahoma State and West Virginia at home. I'm giving Oklahoma State the win at home over West Virginia. I don't care if you guys disagree. We're just
That's
getting
fine.
past it. You guys all filmed up. Texas at home. This is the last game we're going to talk about. Then I'm going to reveal the standings to you guys.
Exciting.
Texas at home against TCU. Kurtz.
Man. I'm going to take TCU here.
I'm going to take Texas.
Of course you are.
Give me the rim protection of Texas.
I'm going
TCU at Texas.
TCU.
Okay, it's a tie. TCU at Texas. DY, this is the last pick of this thing. This thing I call it. TCU at Texas. Jamie Dixon?
Matt McConaughey and the Horns.
Okay, fair enough. I'm hitting submit, guys.
Matt
and we're gonna
McConaughey,
see
I
our
love it.
standings. People don't look. You looked already.
I didn't see.
Spoiler. Gosh, dang.
You've been keeping track of all these?
So
All right,
how are we
guys.
gonna? Are you gonna? Let's
I'm
go
gonna
from
go from the
10.
bottom. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
from the bottom, guys. Hey, I saw you look too. Everyone's already looked.
I didn't see it.
I haven't seen
You
any.
guys are
I didn't
both
get
fibbers. Number 10 in the league, Oklahoma State at 4-14. We have the Pokes finishing last
Shocking.
at 4-14. I'm a little surprised actually because we have West Virginia finishing ahead of them at 5-13.
Yeah.
West Virginia at 5-13. That's number 9. Number 8, not a surprise to anybody, will be Oklahoma. I think we all would have thought those were probably the last 3 teams, right? Everybody thought Oklahoma, West Virginia, Oklahoma
Yep.
State. Oklahoma at 6-12. Probably this is a tournament, right? At 6-12.
Yes.
Great non-conference, but they're probably not going to the tournament. So now you're going to get a little bit of interest in some of these. Some of these might surprise you. Number 7. At 7-11 in the Big 12, Texas Longhorns.
Yep.
Texas could be in danger, of course, at 7-11. Kind of hard to picture them in the tournament at 7-11. So at this point, you might go getting 5 teams from the Big 12 if you're not getting in Texas or you might get 6 teams because the number 6 team is 9-9 TCU.
That gets them in.
Does anybody think just off the top of their head? Are you surprised you don't have TCU in the top half of the league? Is anybody surprised? No. TCU, nobody is.
Seems
okay.
about right.
Seems
Yeah.
about right. We're on the same page so far. Okay. Number 5 at 10-8 in the league would be the Baylor Bears, finishing just a game ahead of TCU. Baylor at 10-8. Baylor and TCU fan automatic NCAA teams at that point with those records, no doubt about it.
You guys have Baylor with the losing record the rest of the way, 5-6.
That'd be true. What DY was saying off mic is at 5-2. If they were to go 10-8, they'd have to finish 5-6 on a losing record the rest of the way. So when Flando says Baylor's not who they are, we all agree, and we have Baylor falling to 5th in the Big 12. Now, guys, we have 3 teams tied for second place at 12-6, which could happen. Absolutely could happen. We have 3 teams tied. I'm going to give you how they seed out. Okay, so the 4th seed, one of the 3 teams tied at 12-6, is the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Texas Tech finishing 4th in the Big 12. Is that about where we'd have them in your guys' mind? Does anybody like them higher or lower? This is all good.
Honestly, 12-6 almost feels a touch high to me, but
It kind of does to me too.
Yeah.
It kind of does to me too. But it's what we picked, or what you guys picked. I didn't pick. For the record, I didn't pick any of
blame
these.
you.
I didn't pick any of these. Number 3, also at 12-6, the Kansas Jayhawks. Kansas does not claim a share of the Big 12. They finished tied for second, but they're the 3 seed at 12-6. How does it make you guys feel? What do you guys think about that?
Happy inside.
You're having a great show.
That's fantastic.
Having a great show.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
Cheers.
Guys. The number 2 seed also at 12-6. The Kansas State Wildcats are the number 2 seed at 12-6.
Wow.
Which means, because you guys pick Iowa State to win every game they play, Iowa State at 13-5 wins the Big 12. We have K-State dropping some games at TCU, at Kansas, at West Virginia. That loss cost K-State.
I didn't.
That loss cost K-State's the Big 12 championship. We might have them losing home to Iowa State if I go back and look at it. We could have even had that.
I know I did. I don't know.
So, but either way, we have Iowa State winning the Big 12 at 13-5.
It's
Right now, they're 5-3. Iowa State is.
they're probably the coach I trust the least out of that top group, but I do think they're the most talented roster from top to bottom when you factor in all their depth.
I just went back to look at our picks. I don't know if hitting back takes you back. I'm trying to figure out if these look right to me.
Make sure you screenshot it first.
Yeah, I'm going to making sure that my back is our actual picks here. It is. We had Iowa State winning at K-State as a group. So that would have been the result. I mean, you could pick any one game. That would have been the result. That did flip the Big 12. If K-State beats Iowa State at home, K-State wins the Big 12 outright. If they lose, they finish second. So some big games throughout the league. But I think it's fascinating, right? So I'm going to take a screenshot, like Kurtz suggested, of your guys' picks. I would have picked K-State to win the league. No doubt about it.
We match Ken Palm's pick.
Is
He
that how
picks
they have it
Iowa
finished
State
up?
at 12-6.
Really?
He picks Baylor, Texas Tech, and KU to tie at 11-7, and K-State to finish next at 10-8.
Gonna be a tight race.
Yeah, Ken Palm's been lower on K-State than basically anything else.
Well, it's similar to the net. Our efficiency rating is not the best, so
Yeah.
that's kind of where it comes from.
This has been a fun show, guys. That's what we have. We'll probably do this maybe when we get closer with 3-4 games left in the league. We'll probably get back together and pick this again to see what happens. I think we all feel like similar things. What's interesting to me, and then we will wrap this up, is I think Iowa State, I think they're the best team in the Big 12, but I wouldn't have picked them to win it. You know, so I think it's fascinating that we all kind of thought they're pretty good. I don't know if any of us thought we were going to pick them to win the league, and then as a group we did. So kind of fascinating. Probably because they beat West Virginia by 30 last night, and we're all prisoners of the moment. So at least I am. But let's go ahead and wrap this up. I want to say thank you to Grant Flanders for having the best KSO show of his young career. For KSU fan, not his best show. You know, he's been on a lot of shows lately though, and that kind of stuff. He loves Shaka as much as you love Jamie Dixon.
Shaka has always been one of my favorites, but I think he's going to get fired eventually from Texas.
It's
Maybe
gonna
this
happen.
year if he messes up enough.
It's
He
gonna-
finishes 7-11. Like
That could be it. We just haven't gone 7-11. Nelson, I really appreciate not only your intelligence, but I love the lean to the mics not to say anything, which is the most helpful thing that happens in these podcasts. It's my favorite thing. And then the golden voice of Manhattan. That's what I've been calling him. Everyone calls him the golden voice of Manhattan. John Kurtz. For
Disagreed.
his insight.
No, I'm just
Kurtz, before
I'm
we
kidding. He
before we
really
wrap
is.
this up, I want, and Flando can't respond. How annoying was it to have some guy who probably hasn't watched a Big 12 game this year, who's asking if Quatnoy's out for the season, following you up with every pick to tell you you're wrong? How did that feel?
I'm not gonna lie. I felt like after about 4 of them, Flando was purposely doing it in his head,
A little Stu Gott's character,
which
felt
might have
like
been,
a little bit.
that was probably good. Create some conflict. That was good.
I wasn't.
Okay.
Are we going to do a podcast in Stillwater after the game to preview the KU game?
What do you think we're going to do, guys? Oh, let's talk about that for a second, though. We are going down to Stillwater. Oh, my gosh. It'll be Derek, myself, Flanders, everyone. Like, you're Mitch Fortner at this table.
I'm not.
Because you're not going. Mason will be with us. The Bosco's boys will be down there Saturday. We're going to see Kellis Robinette down there Saturday. The Saturday night post-game podcast from the house we rented in Stillwater. It may be unlike any other event in KSO history. If that's good or bad, we're going to find out. But we will be doing a podcast down there in Stillwater. Yes. I appreciate everybody being on the show. K-StateOnline. Thanks to Tallgrass. Thanks to Harry's. Thanks to Bourbon and Baker. D Young, can you yell it and be the off mic? Tell your friends guy.
Tell your friends.
KSO. Tell your friends. KSO.